You're listening to Beyond the Plate with Andrew Kaplan. This sounds so weird. You're listening to Beyond the Plate with Kappy.
Hey everyone, this is Kappy, and you're listening to Just the Plate, a production of Beyond the Plate. Just the Plate is a short segment where chefs describe a recipe, sharing insider tips and tricks on what makes this their favorite dish. Today you're going to hear from Chef Rocco DiSpirito. If you missed last week's episode with him, please be sure to check that one out. Rocco's one of the most talented and influential healthy lifestyle-focused chefs today. He's won a James Beard Award. He has 13 cookbooks, 5 of which have been New York Times bestsellers. He was named Food & Wine Magazine's Best New Chef, People Magazine's Sexiest Chef. He was the first chef to appear on Gourmet Magazine's cover as America's Most Exciting Young Chef. But most importantly, he's inspired countless weight loss journeys and has dedicated his life to proving that healthy and delicious are not mutually exclusive. So here's the deal. In this episode, you're getting a twofer. You're getting a recipe from Rocco and his new cookbook, and I'm also going to do a recipe read of one of Rocco's recipes, one of my favorites. Rocco's going to share a recipe from his upcoming cookbook called Rocco's Healthy and Delicious. It's due out October 17th. He's going to take you on a short little read of what he calls a Snickerdoodle Protein Ball. It's a no-bake cookie. Sounds really delicious. If I don't make it too soon, I know my mom will be in her kitchen making it, so I'll get to try it from her. He's got some delicious recipes in this book I'm super excited about. I came across his beet tartare, which looks incredible. He has a protein pizza crust, which looks great. Anyway, I'm going to let Rocco go first, and I'll stop talking, but get hungry.
Hey everybody, this is Rocco DiSpirito, and I am going to read through a recipe from my new book, Rocco's Healthy and Delicious, more than 200 plant-based foods for everyday life. So there are a lot of favorites, but one of my favorites and easiest is something called Snickerdoodle Protein Balls. This is a recipe for 4 servings. The prep time is 10 minutes, and guess what? There is no cook time because these do not require cooking. The ingredients are 1/4 cup of coconut flour. This is straight up coconut flour. Organic would be preferred. Next is 1 scoop of protein powder. I like to use my own, but of course you can use whatever protein powder you like. 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/2 cup of water, 1 tablespoon of a non-nutritive sweetener like monk fruit, or I like to use swerve also, and stevia. Now what you do is, this is real hard guys by the way, so here's under the method. It says, in a small bowl, toss together the coconut flour, protein powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of the cinnamon. Pour the water and mix it well. Form into 8 balls. Number 2, in second bowl, mix the remaining teaspoon of cinnamon with the sweetener and roll each ball to coat. That's it. 57 calories per serving, about 2 balls per serving. Each serving contains 6 grams of protein, 10 grams of high fiber carbs. In fact, there's 5 grams of fiber per serving, and that's it. You just mix it all, roll the balls, and consume. How much easier could it be? I really hope you enjoy this sampling from Rocco's Healthy and Delicious. More than 200 mostly plant-based recipes for everyday life. Good luck and good eating.
All right, now Rocco's passing the mic over to me. He just did his Snickerdoodle Protein Balls, and I'm going to go ahead and do Rocco DiSpirito's Mama's Meatballs. I, along with my wife, truly believe they're the best meatballs. Everyone has their favorites. That's okay. These are mine. And I'm going to tell you how to make them because I've made them plenty of times for myself, for my wife, for parties, and they're delicious. And I think another meatball recipe is always okay. This one's pretty interesting because it has a mixture that gets blended in a food processor or blender and added to the ground meat mix. But I'll walk you through it. They're very delicious. Feel free to tweak and adjust seasonings as you see fit, as you should with all recipes. Use them merely as a guide. So basically this recipe starts out with about 1/3 cup of chicken stock. If you have vegetable stock, that's okay. Chicken stock has some great flavor. You use about 1/4 of a yellow onion, 1 clove of garlic. Please use a clove of garlic. Crack it from its skin. Don't use the stuff in a jar. It's really not as good. This calls for the meatball trifecta, which is 1/2 pound of ground beef, 1/2 pound of ground pork, and 1/2 pound of ground veal. It also has 1/3 cup of plain breadcrumbs. These are plain, regular, fine breadcrumbs. He doesn't use panko, regular breadcrumbs, not the ones with Italian seasonings in them, just plain. 2 eggs. I use large eggs, which I think are standard size. 1/4 cup of Parmigiano Reggiano grated. When this says grated, not the shredded strands of it, like the fine grated stuff. And grate it yourself. If not, you could get already grated stuff in the store, which is okay. A teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. If you don't like spice, you could omit these. If you do like spice, add it in or add a little more. Not all red pepper flakes are created equal, so some may give off a little more spice. This calls for a 1/4 cup of Italian flat leaf parsley, chopped fine. That's not the curly stuff, it's the flat leaf parsley. 1 tablespoon of salt. And this has 3 to 6 cups of Mama's marinara sauce. You could look up Rocco DiSpirito's Mama's marinara, or you can make your own marinara. Or feel free to cheat a little here and use your favorite marinara from the store. Moreos has a good one. It is a little more expensive than some others, but it's pretty delicious. It has all real products in there. But there's so many great marinara sauces in the supermarket these days, so find one that you like. This is also great use for leftover marinara. And also 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. All right, so getting to it. Place the chicken stock, the onion, the garlic, and the parsley in a blender or food processor and puree it. I use a blender. I have a Vitamix. I think it's the best investment in the kitchen, quite frankly. So that's what I use. You want to blend these up pretty well and make kind of a paste sauce, if you will. And then in a large bowl, you're going to combine the pureed mix with the stock and the onion and garlic and all that, along with your 3 meats, your beef, your pork, and your veal. You're going to add your breadcrumbs, your eggs, your Parmigiano Reggiano, your red pepper flakes, parsley, salt. You're going to combine with both hands, kind of gently mix those together till it's uniform, till all the flavors are spread out, but don't over mix it. And you'll hear this a lot when making hamburgers or meatballs or meatloaf. When you over mix it, the heat in your hands tends to melt the fat in the beef, and you kind of want it to stay in the form that it's in. So don't over mix it, kind of keep it in its true form. Mix until it's just incorporated. And then you're going to put a little olive oil on your hands, this recipe says, and form the mixture into balls a little larger than golf balls. They should be about a 1/4 cup each, but if you prefer them a little bigger or a little smaller, this only affects the browning time when that process comes. A little tip here, if you want to use a 1/4 cup measure, take a 1/4 cup measure and spray it with cooking spray and then scoop it, and it will allow the meat to come out easier. And then roll it into balls and put it on a tray and set it aside. Then you're going to put about a 1/2 inch worth of extra virgin olive oil into a straight-sided skillet, about 10 inches wide. That's a saute pan or a skillet, and heat it over medium-high flame. 10 inches, think of like a small omelet pan is about 8 inches. This is the next size up. I've used bigger pots, pans, but 10 inches is a good starting point. And you're going to, like I said, put it over a medium-high flame. And once it starts to shimmer a little bit, you're going to add the meatballs to the pan, working in batches if they don't all fit. You're going to brown the meatballs, keep an eye on them. You want to turn them once. Once they start to brown, turn them over. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes in total, the recipe says, but go more so by the color and the golden brownness rather than a time frame. While the meatballs are browning, put all your marinara sauce in a big sauce pot, at least 6 quarts, maybe a little bigger. Put that over medium heat so it starts a little gentle steam or bubble. As the meatballs are done, you're going to lift them out of the pan with a slotted spoon, leave as much of the oil as you can in the pan, and you're going to gently place them in the marinara sauce. Stir them gently just so they're covered in the sauce, but make sure you don't break up these meatballs too much because they're pretty gentle and tender and delicious. You're going to simmer on low heat for about an hour, low to medium heat for about an hour, and that's it. They're done. It's pretty easy. There's a decent amount of steps, but it's not too bad, and trust me, it's all worth it. You could serve these as a side, just as meatballs. You could serve it over pasta if you like that. You could serve it over vegetables if you like that. Serve it with a little extra Parmigiano Reggiano sprinkled on top, and that's about it. That's Rocco's meatballs. I think they're extremely delicious. And again, my wife and I both agree that they're the best meatballs. So thank you for listening to this recipe of Rocco's Mama's Meatballs. Enjoy. Find more on Rocco DiSpirito at roccodispirito.com. This episode was produced by Ian Cohen, Joe Yeaton, and myself. You can find me and keep up to date with this podcast across all social media platforms at On Kappy's Plate or go to beyondtheplatepodcast.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast on your listening site of choice. Thank you for listening to Just the Plate, a production of Beyond the Plate. I'm Kappy.